Our next guest represents Massachusetts 7th Congressional District. Please welcome to the show, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Seth. It's great to be with you.
You are spending quarantine with your husband, your stepdaughter, and you have a cat of note.
Yes, her name is Sojourner Truth Pressley Harris. We call her Sojo. She's got a mean, resting feline face, and we love her. She's great.
She's a large cat, yes?
Okay, now watch it. This is a body positive household, okay? I know that I showed her to some of your producers, and there was a little bit of reaction. She is fluffy. She's got no problems. Body positive, okay?
All right, understood.
All right.
She is exactly the cat she is supposed to be.
Exactly. And we love her.
One of the things the squad is addressing, the progressive wing of the party is addressing, I think, in general, everyone in the country should be addressing right now, is the racial disparity of how this pandemic is affecting this country. And that the inequality that was baked in before this is what is leading to that. How do you, one, address it now in the moment, in the middle of a crisis, while at the same time trying to address the root causes of it to make sure it doesn't happen again?
Yeah, the thing is, the inequities and racial disparities that we see playing out, spotlighted and exacerbated during COVID-19, have been systemically entrenched and embedded for a very long time. So anecdotally, we already knew how this would trend and how this would go. And so early on, myself and several of my colleagues began banging the drum for the collection of racial data in real time, the disaggregation of it, the public reporting of it, so that we can ensure that our public health response is equitable, both in testing and access to treatment. Here's the thing, as we started out behind, we are in the worst position ever that you want to be in confronting a pandemic. And that has everything to do with the criminal negligence, the science denials, press briefings that have really functioned more like disinformation campaigns, and the sluggish response of this administration. So we're behind. And so data, and particularly racial data, is one way that we get ahead of that. So we ensure the resources follow the data, and they are directed to highest infection rates, most vulnerable communities. So we can do mobile testing, antibody testing, contact tracing, and all of those things that are in the best interest of the public health. And then after that, I think it's why we have to support our community health centers. We have to address health disparities, the comorbidities of structural racism, the impact of climate injustices, of food injustices. That is why Black and Latinx communities, which are food deserts, transportation deserts, higher rates of asthma because they disproportionately bear the burden of environmental injustices, have been more susceptible. COVID-19 doesn't discriminate. Anyone can contract the virus, but these communities, my community, is most susceptible to contracting it, and when we do, suffering the most severe consequences.
You've talked about this as a crisis within a crisis, and obviously, Congress is having to address so much that is going wrong right now. Do you feel as though Democratic leadership is being helpful addressing sort of this angle of the situation we're in right now?
Well, myself, community members, activists, and my colleagues, we're focused on putting the people first, not corporations, not private, not profit, not corporations, and focused on acknowledging that this is unprecedented hurt. This is a tsunami of hurt. And experts recently said that, maybe 90% of these infections and fatalities could have been stopped had we acted sooner. And so what I'll be focused on in upcoming relief packages is what do we do in the midst of this unprecedented hurt that provides the most relief for people? And that's about getting cash in the pockets of people as quickly as possible. It's about more testing. It's about canceling student debt, canceling rent and mortgages. It's about including our immigrant neighbors who have been excluded to date from every relief package. It's about supports for our most vulnerable, those experiencing homelessness and living in shelter, and also incarcerated men and women. And then beyond that, I just want to say this. The fact that we needed a moment like this to prove to us who are essential workers, they've always been essential. And they should have never been treated as if they are disposable. And that's how we've been functioning. They should be working at a living wage. We could have already addressed that. We must do that in the future. Having hazard pay, paid sick leave, paid family and medical leave. So the path forward is that we've got to move boldly. When people say they can't wait till we return to normal, normal, Seth, was unjust, insufficient, and inadequate to begin with. So this is an opportunity both in addressing the racial disparities and in centering the humanity and the dignity of every individual, of every family, of every worker, then we've got to go bold. Think about how we would have weathered this if we already had universal health care, if people were already working at a living wage, if we already had universal paid sick leave and paid family medical leave.